and welcome everybody to a special presentation from the Smash News Network Least Busted Name in News. This is COVID Chronicles Then and Now for April 2nd, 2020 and 2021. First, I would invite all of our viewers to check out smAsho.com. You can find our social media links there, as well as links to our forum, as well as to our merch sites. Again, smAsho.com. And to get to the forum, just click on that link right there. Today's featured product is the Fauci fraud products. Since Fauci committed fraud, an intentional misrepresentation of material facts, we've decided to put out some products. And how about the premium t-shirt? I believe this one comes in a multitude of colors, not to be confused with a multitude of colors. Anyway, that's today's featured product. Again, you can link to that directly from smAsho.com to get to our Redbubble shop. I would remind our viewers not to pole vault the caldera. So let's go to now first, as Rand Paul has been a little bit critical of Dr. Fauci, the highest paid U.S. government official. Not Rand Paul, Dr. Fauci, yes. So now, we're not exactly sure what the current payroll is for the U.S. government, but back in 2019, indeed, Fauci was the highest paid government official and possibly the most damaging human being on earth. And of course, there are mixed opinions about Dr. Fauci. Of course, it was enough to cause us to create a music video, because let's just say I've been less than pleased with the fraudulent statements of Dr. Fauci, as he has 100% flip-flopped on masks, as well as on herd immunity requirements for vaccination. Here's a clip.
Fauci, shut up! Yeah! Shut up, Fauci! Fauci, shut up!
So make sure you share that video with your friends and foes, as we would prefer to see Fauci shut up, as he is one of the most unfortunate bureaucrats probably in the history of mankind, considering the shockingly gigantic size of U.S. bureaucracies. So let's go back. We'll go back one day to April Fool's Day 2020, as there were certainly no shortage of fools last year. I'm just going to let the forum scroll here. We have a 30-plus page forum topic about coronavirus, folks. If you think I'm not well read on the subject, you may want to visit our website, smAsho.com/forum. We've actually pinned the coronavirus thread to all forum topics, since we're featuring it currently on this series of videos, the COVID Chronicles. Also, if you'd like to check out the rest of the videos in COVID Chronicles Then and Now 2020 versus 2021, you can find those all at youtube.com/smashomash/playlists. So all this stuff about grocery shopping, and if you should be spraying off bags of chips with disinfectant and wiping them down before using them, and all this sort of insane stuff was going on. Social distancing was still increasing last year around this time, as now we've got all kinds of different rules in all kinds of different places, which you're expected to keep track of these crazy rules, whether you're supposed to be 3 feet apart or 6 feet apart or 60 feet apart, or wearing 2 masks or 16 masks or 1 mask or a cloth mask or a silk mask or a non-woven mask or a red mask or a blue mask. Red mask, blue mask, what say you, mask? And let's go forward to page 18. Again, this is over a 30-page document here, and we have intentionally painstakingly copy-pasted all of the articles, folks. So what we did is we copy-pasted the full articles in there, as well as a link to the article's location, its point of origin. So if it was a Reuters article, we would copy-paste the whole article so that it was hosted in its entirety on our website, as well as linked to its source, just in case articles got scrubbed or altered from their original state in the internet. So here's more stuff from April 1st. The e-letter from Senator Pat Brown, as lockdowns and mask mandates just kicked into effect 1 year ago today in Pennsylvania. They are generally still in place. So President Trump issued a major disaster declaration. Thanks for making the swamp deeper. In Pennsylvania this week, freeing up federal money that can be used to help fight against COVID-19. The federal assistance will bring money to state and eligible local governments, as well as private nonprofit organizations, for emergency protective measures, including direct federal assistance. And by the way, I got a pay cut as a result of the COVID. If you're wondering how things have been working out for me, I'm essential personnel who has to go all around and travel to various public locations, follow all kinds of ridiculous rules, and I got a pay cut. So I requested the largest raise that I've ever requested in my entire life as a result of the oncoming inflation as well as the COVID, and I got a pay cut instead. And I've yet to quit my job because, well, there are reasons that I do the job that I have. It has to do with the difficulty, the efficacy, and the fact that it's for a science company. But all that aside, I've now put in a third request for a massive compensation increase, or else is really the underlying, the writing between the lines, folks, is either a major pay increase or a sudden leaving somebody out in the cold, if you know what I mean. All right, so here we go. Now we're into April 2nd. So that was April Fool's Day last year, and there was definitely no shortage of fools last year. I think there are a few less fools this year, which brings me to a great quote from Mark Twain. So let this one sink in, folks. This Mark Twain quote, and I'm paraphrasing here. I don't know what the exact wording was, but the Mark Twain quote paraphrased is, "It's much easier." Let me put on my sunglasses for this. "It's much easier to dupe somebody than it is to convince them that they've been duped." Did you catch that? I'll say it again. It's much easier to convince somebody of nonsense than it is to convince them that they've been tricked. Is that ringing a bell? Am I on point here? Trump resists national shutdown, leaving it up to states. Although, again, I would reiterate that he declared a state of emergency in Pennsylvania. Although I'm not so sure on that. Can anybody fact check me? Feel free to leave a comment. And so here's an article. Donald Trump is resisting calls to issue a national stay-at-home order to stem the spread of the new coronavirus, despite his administration's projections that tens of thousands are likely to be killed. One by one, states are increasingly pushing shutdown orders of their own. So citing federalism, this was actually a good thing, although Trump did deepen the swamp because Trump spent more money than Obama did. So let's just cite that fact as well. And some of our viewers may not be thrilled about the fact that I've been critical of Trump before he was president, and I'll continue to be after because of his lack of fiscal conservatism. And here is an article about talocizumab. Yes, talocizumab, otherwise known as Actemra, shown to be more effective than the now infamous hydroxychloroquine, which by the way, is an over-the-counter drug on the continent of Africa. And if you don't know how COVID's been working out in Africa, I suggest you go look it up. Hydroxychloroquine, an over-the-counter medication in most African countries. Yes, you can buy it at the drugstore or at the convenience store, I've heard. So in any case, there's an article about perhaps an effective treatment. And okay, the situation in Italy. So we covered this, and this was an important milestone in the sort of evolution because the first lockdowns that occurred in a town in Italy. And the rest of the Western world said, hey, there's no way the Western world would tolerate lockdowns. Hey, that's an awful nice town you got there. Be a shame if it was locked down, eh? That'll cure you. How's that been working out, folks? Has that been effective? Fauci wears a red mask, yeah, says you should wear too. All right, so continuing on here. So this is a follow-up on the article, the original article that we covered about the town in northern Italy shutting down. In recent weeks, most of the Eastern European nurses who work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, supporting people in need of care in Italy have left the country in a hurry. This is not because of the panic-mongering and the curfews and border closures threatened by emergency governments. As a result, old people in need of care and disabled people, some without relatives, were left helpless by their carers. Their caregivers absconded the country, folks. So some updates on the hospital situation in the U.S., Germany, and Switzerland at this time last year, 365 days ago. CBS was caught using footage from an Italian intensive care center to fearmonger in the U.S., suggesting that it was in New York. In fact, dozens of recordings by citizen journalists show that it is currently very quiet in the hospitals on the East Coast and West Coast. Even the corpse refrigerator trucks, and that's in quote, corpse refrigerator trucks. Remember those? The ones prominently shown in the media appear unused and empty. How come, folks? Any ideas? Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think about why the media perpetrated fraud as well. In any case, it's the year of accountability, folks. Last year was the year of clarity, where everybody who was incompetent and indeed a liability, posing as an asset, jumped up and down and said, "Look at me, I'm making things much, much worse," while pretending to make them much, much better. Have you noticed some issues going on regarding accountability? Well, I certainly have, but welcome to 2021. It's the year of accountability, part of the purpose of our channel and the Smash News Network, which is why we're least busted name in news. Second bullet point, contrary to media reports, the register of German intensive care units also shows no increased occupancy. Citizen journalists visited completely abandoned COVID-19 admission centers in Berlin. In Swiss clinics, no increased occupancy has been observed so far, according to this source by April 2nd last year. And this source isn't an unnamed source. We simply named all of them. This would be from swprs.org, Swiss doctor on COVID-19, the title of that article. Here's another one. Chinese National Health Commission included the use of I said it perfectly before. Tocilizumab in guidelines to treat coronavirus in patients. In March 2020, China developed tocilizumab for the treatment of inflammation in patients with SARS-CoV-2. All right. As of March 2020, there's no evidence whether this treatment is effective. Chinese health officials say that only 21 patients have been asked to use the medicine. Italian physician Paolo Ascerto reported that tocilizumab appeared to be effective in 3 cases of COVID-19. And that's too small of a sample group, folks. So anyway, check out our forum, smashamash.com/forum. And let's move on to some articles from today. So we've headed to NBCnews.com's main site. They've got a header for COVID-19, and I'm sure all of our viewers love NBC News and consider it to be a completely objective news source. Let's see if there's any fear-mongering. Nope, just pumping the Pfizer vaccine. Pfizer says vaccine protection lasts at least 6 months, and that it works against South African variant. So it looks like they're actually putting up some silver lining news nowadays, folks. Anyway, I'll let this article scroll here as I have zero ability to read more from NBCnews.com. Let's just head to one other site here since we already covered one from today. Let's head to theblaze.com and see what theblaze.com has to say. And we're going to pick the first COVID story and click on that, which is their featured story. CNN analyst urges Biden administration to tie vaccines to Americans' freedoms. Yes. So, of course, we've heard plenty about vaccine passports. If you're wondering what I think it's a ridiculous idea, as nobody should be expecting you to divulge any protected health information, period, unless they're involved in the facilitation of your health care. So what's the carrot going to be if everything reopens, folks? What's the carrot going to be? How about antibody tests? How about vaccination passports? Why should you have to prove anything? I think that's all nonsense. But in any case, that article from The Blaze, where various different entities, such as airlines, ticket sales agencies, and other entities, are begging the government to require vaccine passports. So that's about it, folks. That's today's edition of the COVID Chronicles, then and now, April 2nd, 2020 and 2021. If you want to read more about days that we missed in the previous days and what was happening perhaps 364 days ago, head to smashamash.com/forum. There's a over 30-page document. And again, we copy-pasted those articles to ensure that they are kept in their pristine condition and not altered or scrubbed from the internet entirely. We saw the writing on the wall years ago. Here at Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Thanks for tuning in, folks. This has been a YouTube exclusive. Check out the other COVID Chronicles videos if you want to know what was happening on previous days. It's youtube.com/smashomash/playlists. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smashomash, signing off from Smash News Network, least busted name in news.